Are you tired of feeling like you are constantly playing a part, performing for an audience that is not truly seeing you? That exhaustion is not a character flaw, it is a signal. It is what happens when your inner life and your outer life stop matching for too long. In a world that rewards polish, speed, and certainty, many people learn to survive by becoming readable. We learn which version of ourselves gets the nod, the laugh, the approval, the invitation back. And then, quietly, we keep offering that version until we cannot remember where the performance ends and we begin. It helps to name the pressure clearly. Modern life does not just ask you to do your job. It asks you to brand your personality. It asks you to be interesting, stable, productive, positive, and impressive all at once. Even when you do not post online, you can still feel that invisible audience. You can hear the implied standards in your head. Be more confident, be more chill, be less needy, be more successful, be easier. When you live under that kind of constant evaluation, your nervous system does not relax. It stays on alert, scanning for what will keep you safe in the social environment. Stephen Porges explains in The Polyvagal Theory that our bodies are always making quick, automatic judgments about safety and threat. When you feel you must perform to belong, your body treats belonging like a test. That alone can create chronic tension, anxiety, and a deep fatigue that sleep does not fix. This is why authenticity is not just a nice idea. It is a form of inner alignment that your body can feel. When you are acting from your real values, your real needs, your real yes and no, you do not have to hold your breath as much. You stop managing your face, you stop editing your tone, you stop rehearsing your life before you live it. That does not mean you become careless or impulsive. It means you become congruent. The inside and the outside start to match. Many people misunderstand authenticity as being perfectly imperfect, like a curated vulnerability that still keeps everything under control. They share a struggle, but only after they have wrapped it neatly with a lesson. They admit to an insecurity, but only the socially acceptable kind. They show a flaw, but not one that might actually change how people see them. This kind of authenticity is often just a new performance. It still asks, "Will you accept me now?" It is still negotiating. Real authenticity is not a costume. It is not a vibe. It is not even a fixed personality. It is a relationship with truth. It is the willingness to be honest about what is real in you, and then to live in a way that respects what you find. Brené Brown writes in Daring Greatly that vulnerability is not weakness, it is the courage to be seen. If you have spent years building a life around being liked, being needed, being impressive, then being seen can feel terrifying. But the cost of never being seen is that you start to disappear from your own life. There is also a quieter illusion that traps many sincere people. The belief that authenticity means always expressing everything you feel. That is not authenticity, that is impulse. Authenticity is not dumping your raw emotions onto everyone in the name of being real. It is knowing what you feel, owning it, and communicating it with integrity. It is learning the difference between a feeling and a fact, between a reaction and a value, between a momentary storm and a deeper truth. So let us set the foundation. Authenticity is not something you find like a hidden treasure. It is something you build like a home. You do not discover a finished version of yourself waiting somewhere in the dark. You excavate what is true, you remove what is false, you strengthen what is essential, you choose what you will live by, and over time, your life begins to look like you. Excavating your foundational truths, the blueprint phase. Any real building starts with a blueprint, even if it is simple. You cannot build a stable life on borrowed desires. You cannot create inner peace on top of constant self-betrayal. And you cannot become your true self if you have never taken the time to learn what your true self actually values. The blueprint phase is about returning to first principles. It is not about fixing yourself. It is about listening. Many people avoid this because they assume what they will find is either too messy or too disappointing. They fear that their truth will be inconvenient. They fear that if they admit what they actually need, they will have to change something. That fear makes sense. Truth does have consequences, but it also has power. A life built on truth might require brave choices, yet it also stops draining you in the same quiet, daily way. To excavate your foundational truths, start by noticing where your energy goes. Not your should energy, not your motivational speech energy, but your real energy. When do you feel more like yourself? When do you feel less like yourself? When do you feel a clean yes in your body? And when do you feel a heavy no? Your body often tells the truth before your mind can admit it. In The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk explains how the body holds the imprint of experience and reacts before conscious thought catches up. You do not need to turn your life into a clinical project to learn from this. You can simply notice patterns. When you are with certain people, do you breathe deeper or shallower? Do you feel expanded or contracted? Do you feel relaxed or braced? Another way to find your blueprint is to look at what makes you resentful. Resentment is often a clue that you have been abandoning your own needs or values. It is not always a sign that someone else is doing something wrong. Sometimes it is a sign that you have been saying yes when you mean no. Sometimes it is the emotional interest you pay on a loan you never wanted to make. If resentment is rising in your life, you can treat it like an alarm that says, something matters here. Something is being ignored. You can also do what I call a truth audit. A truth audit is simple. You take one area of your life like work, relationships, money, health, spirituality, creativity, or family, and you ask a clean question. What is true here? Not what you wish were true, not what looks good, what is actually true. You might find that you are overcommitted. You might find that you are lonely even though you are surrounded by people. You might find that you are successful in ways that do not feed your soul. You might find that you have been living with a quiet grief you never named. The point is not to judge. The point is to see. If you want a spiritual frame, you can think of this as devotion to reality. Many traditions teach that suffering grows when we fight what is. Buddhism speaks of attachment and aversion, the grasping for what we want, and the pushing away of what we fear. Tara Brach writes in Radical Acceptance that freedom begins when we stop abandoning ourselves and start meeting our experience with compassion. When you do a truth audit, you are practicing that kind of meeting. You are letting your life be what it is, long enough to understand it. Core values are another part of the blueprint. Values are not goals. Goals are outcomes. Values are the qualities you want to embody regardless of outcome. If your goal is to be liked, you will shapeshift endlessly. If your value is to be honest, kind, courageous, or faithful to your own integrity, you have something solid to stand on. Viktor Frankl, in Man's Search for Meaning, describes how meaning can anchor a person even in extreme conditions. Your values become that kind of anchor in ordinary life. They are the load-bearing beams of your inner structure. This phase also includes reclaiming desire. Many people have learned to distrust desire, especially if they grew up in environments where wanting was punished or mocked. They learned to want what was allowed, or they learned not to want at all. But authentic living includes healthy wanting. It includes longing. It includes the part of you that reaches toward beauty, intimacy, creativity, and aliveness. Desire is not always wise, and it is not always clean, but it is information. It tells you what your system is hungry for. So, in the blueprint phase, you are not trying to be impressive. You are trying to be accurate. You are learning what is true. You are naming what matters. and you are beginning to accept that your life is yours to build. Dismantling facades, deconstructing inauthentic structures. Once you start seeing your truth, you will also start seeing what has been built on top of it. Those layers are not there because you are fake. They are there because you adapted. A facade is usually a form of protection. It is what you learn to do to stay safe, to be loved, to avoid conflict, to prevent shame, or to survive environments that were not kind to your real self. People-pleasing is one of the most common facades. It looks like kindness, but it often has fear underneath. The fear is simple. If you are upset with me, I might lose my place with you. So the people-pleaser becomes skilled at anticipating needs, smoothing tension, and disappearing their own preferences. Over time, this creates a strange life. On the outside, you look agreeable. On the inside, you feel unseen. Your relationships may feel oddly lonely because they are connected to your performance, not your truth. Perfectionism is another common structure. In The Gifts of Imperfection, Brené Brown describes perfectionism as not the same thing as striving for excellence. Perfectionism is a shield. It says, if I do it perfectly, you cannot criticize me. If I look flawless, you cannot reject me. But life is not built for perfection, so the perfectionist becomes trapped in chronic pressure, often paired with procrastination and shame. You try to build a stable self-image out of being good enough, but the standard keeps moving. Stoicism can also become a facade when it is used to avoid feeling. Some people learned early that emotions were dangerous or inconvenient. They learned to stay composed at all costs. They confuse numbness with strength. But emotions do not disappear because you refuse to feel them. They move into the body. They show up as tension, irritability, exhaustion, or a sense of being disconnected from your own life. Susan David writes in Emotional Agility that the goal is not to avoid emotions, but to relate to them skillfully. When you dismantle the facade of forced composure, you are not becoming unstable. You are becoming honest. There is also the facade of exaggerated bravado. This is the loud confidence that covers deep insecurity. It can look like constant jokes, constant dominance, constant certainty, constant, I do not care. But underneath it is often a tender fear of being hurt. The bravado self does not want intimacy because intimacy requires being known. It requires risk. As you begin dismantling these structures, you will meet the fear of vulnerability. This fear is not irrational. It is often based on real experiences. Maybe when you showed your true feelings, you were mocked. Maybe when you set a boundary, you were punished. Maybe when you were honest, you lost connection. Your system learned truth is dangerous. That learning does not vanish just because you decide to be authentic. It has to be unwound gently. This is where the nervous system matters. If your body feels threatened, you will not be able to live your truth consistently. You will go back to old patterns under stress. That does not mean you failed. It means your system is doing what it learned to do. Polyvagal theory offers a helpful lens here. When your system senses safety, you have more access to connection, creativity, and flexible thinking. When it senses threat, you move toward fight, flight, freeze, or collapse. Authenticity is easier in safety. So part of dismantling facades is learning how to create enough inner safety to tell the truth without panicking. You can practice in small ways, not performative, dramatic ways. Small, honest ways. You can notice when you are about to say yes out of fear and pause. You can say, let me think about that, instead of agreeing automatically. You can admit, I actually do not have the bandwidth for this. You can tell a trusted person, I want to share something real, and I feel nervous. That sentence alone can be a doorway out of performance. There will also be grief in this process. When you dismantle a facade, you may realize how long you lived without your own full presence. You may mourn the years you spent trying to earn love that should have been given freely. You may feel anger at what you had to become to survive. Those feelings are not setbacks. They are part of the return. Authenticity is not only about becoming, it is also about unlearning. It is about letting old protections soften because you are ready to live more openly. You are not tearing yourself down. You are removing what was never truly you. Intentional construction, building an authentic life, brick by brick. After deconstruction comes construction. This is where authenticity stops being an idea and becomes a practice. You begin aligning your choices with your blueprint, not all at once, not perfectly, brick by brick. Start with the smallest daily decisions because that is where your life actually happens. Authenticity is not only about big declarations, it is about the quiet moment when you choose what is true instead of what is convenient. It is the moment you wear what feels like you, not what you think you should wear. It is the moment you stop pretending you like something you do not. It is the moment you rest when you need rest, even if your old identity says you must keep proving yourself. A key part of construction is boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are clarity. They are the shape of your yes and your no. Many people fear boundaries because they think boundaries will make them selfish or unlovable. But without boundaries, authenticity cannot survive. If you do not protect your time, your energy, and your values, your life will keep being designed by other people's preferences. Setting a boundary often requires tolerating discomfort. People may not like your new no. They may push back. They may call you different. And you are different. You are becoming more honest. You are becoming less available for self-abandonment. In set boundaries, find peace. Nedra Glover. Tawwab emphasizes that boundaries are a form of self-respect. They are also a form of respect for others because they reduce resentment and confusion. When you say no clearly, you stop sending mixed signals. You stop offering half yeses that poison connection over time. Relationships are another major part of the build. Authenticity will reshape your relationships, not because you are trying to cause conflict, but because you are no longer feeding the relationship with a false version of yourself. Some connections will deepen. Others may fade. That can feel scary, but it is also honest. A relationship that only works when you hide is not a safe place for your soul. As you become more real, you will naturally seek people who can meet you there. Work and purpose are part of this too. Many people stay in roles that do not fit because they fear instability, judgment, or the discomfort of starting over. Sometimes you do need to stay because life has real responsibilities. Authenticity is not about impulsive quitting. It is about bringing your truth into the reality you have and then making wise moves over time. You might start by telling the truth about what drains you. You might renegotiate responsibilities. You might build skills for a transition. You might stop pretending you love what you hate. Even that inner honesty changes you because it stops the daily lie. An authentic life also requires self-trust. Self-trust is not blind confidence. It is the willingness to listen to yourself and take yourself seriously. If you have spent years ignoring your own signals, rebuilding trust takes time. You rebuild it the same way you rebuild trust with another person, through consistent follow-through. When you say you need rest and you actually rest, you teach yourself that you matter. When you say you do not want something and you honor that, you teach yourself that your no is valid. Each small act becomes a brick. Over time, you stop feeling like you are building on sand. Spirituality can support this construction when it is grounded. A healthy spiritual path does not ask you to bypass your humanity. It does not ask you to transcend your needs. It helps you face reality with love. Many contemplative traditions speak of presence, the practice of returning to what is here. When you practice presence, you stop living your life from the outside in. You stop making every decision based on how you will be perceived. You start living from the inside out. You can think of this as building an inner compass. Your compass is made of values, self-awareness, nervous system regulation, and a relationship with something larger than your fear. That something larger can be God, Spirit, the universe, love, truth, or simply the quiet wisdom of your deeper self. The label matters less than the lived connection. When you have that connection, external pressure does not control you as easily. You can still care what people think, but it no longer owns you. Authenticity also becomes more stable when you practice repair. Nobody lives their truth perfectly. You will slip. You will perform sometimes. You will people please under stress. You will chase approval when you feel insecure. The difference is what you do next. An authentic person does not pretend it did not happen. They notice, they get curious, and they come back. That return is the practice. The ever-evolving masterpiece, imperfection, growth, and the courage to keep rebuilding. One of the most freeing truths about authenticity is that it is not a final destination. You are not trying to arrive at a finished self and then stay there forever. You are a living person. You will change. Your values may deepen. Your needs may shift. Your relationships may evolve. Your understanding of yourself will expand. Authenticity is not the ability to freeze yourself in one identity. It is the ability to stay in relationship with who you truly are as you grow. This is where self-compassion becomes essential. Many people try to build authenticity with the same harsh energy they use to build performance. They treat authenticity like another standard. I should be more real. I should be more honest. I should not care what anyone thinks. That harshness is just the old system wearing new clothes. Kristin Neff, in Self-Compassion, explains that self-compassion is not self-pity or self-indulgence. It is treating yourself with the same basic kindness you would offer someone you love. When you bring that kindness to your growth, you create a safer inner environment for truth. It also helps to understand shame. Shame is one of the main forces that keeps people performing. Shame says, if you are truly seen, you will be rejected. In Healing the Shame That Binds You, John Bradshaw describes how shame can become an identity rather than a feeling. When shame runs your life, authenticity feels like danger, but shame loosens when it is met with awareness, compassion, and safe connection. You do not defeat shame by becoming flawless. You soften shame by refusing to abandon yourself. As you keep building, you will likely notice that authenticity brings a different kind of strength. It is not the loud strength of dominance. It is the quiet strength of stability. You become harder to manipulate because you are less hungry for approval. You become more discerning because you can feel when something does not match your values. You become more resilient because you are not spending all your energy maintaining an image. This does not make life easy. It makes life honest. Honest life can still include grief, fear, conflict, and uncertainty, but it also includes more real joy, more real intimacy, more real peace. When you are living as yourself, you do not have to keep proving you deserve to exist. You can simply exist and let your choices reflect who you are. If you want a final image to hold, think again of architecture. A well-built home is not a perfect home. It is a sturdy home. It can handle weather. It can handle time. It can be repaired. It can be renovated. It can evolve as the people inside it evolve. Authenticity is like that. You are not building a stage. You are building shelter. You are building a life that can hold your full humanity. And the most important part is this: You do not have to build it alone. You can ask for support. You can seek community. You can work with a therapist, a coach, a spiritual director, or a trusted friend. You can learn practices that help your nervous system feel safer. You can choose environments that nourish truth rather than reward performance. Your true self is not a solo project. It is a living relationship between you and the life around you.